What happens when the most dominant tennis legend of today comes out to defend the new heir to the throne? In the midst of a season full of doubts for some and enormous pressure for others, Novak Djokovic has surprised the tennis world with a powerful, clear message, in Spanish. Addressed to Carlos Alcaraz. From the Laureus World Sports Awards 2025, the greatest of all time not only spoke about his return to Madrid and how he's feeling physically, but also sent a direct message to all the critics of the young Spaniard. 4 Grand Slams at 21 years old, what more do you want? Today in this video, we break down this impactful message, Djokovic's reflections on tennis without Nadal or Federer, and why his words could mark a turning point in the narrative surrounding Carlitos. Novak Djokovic needs no introduction. With 24 Grand Slam titles and over a decade of dominance, every word he says carries undeniable weight. And this time, speaking to Eurosport at the Laureus Awards, the Serbian wasn't just talking about his return to Madrid. He wanted to address something very specific, the unfair criticism Carlos Alcaraz is receiving. In perfect Spanish and with the serenity of someone who has already won everything, Djokovic was direct. He's 21 years old, he's won 4 Grand Slams and many tournaments. What more do you want? Without beating around the bush, he defended someone he might consider his natural successor on the tour. A gesture that not only speaks volumes about Noel's humility and greatness, but also about his respect for the history of Spanish tennis. Alcaraz heads to the Mutua Madrid Open after an intense clay court swing, marked by his title in Monte Carlo and his loss in the final of the Barcelona Open, Conde de Godó, to Holger Rune. But more than the results, what has weighed most in recent weeks are doubts about his physical condition. And a flood of negative commentary from certain sectors in Spain. Djokovic knows it well. He too was once young, also faced criticism. And also had to prove time and time again that his talent was real. That's why, in the same interview, he reminded the public that in Spain, the bar is very high because of figures like Nadal, Ferrero, or Moya, but what Alcaraz has achieved so far is simply extraordinary. After Nadal, Moya, Ferrero, they've all been world number ones. But listen. What he's done in this period is incredible, the Serbian concluded, easing the pressure and highlighting the meteoric rise of the young Mercian. In a tour still adjusting to the absence of Federer and the gradual farewell of Nadal, Djokovic remains a compass. And for that compass to stop and publicly recognize and defend Alcaraz is an act that only reinforces the legitimacy of the young Spaniard as one of the greats of the present and the future. Because when one of the greatest in history says, he's 21 and already has 4 Grand Slams, what more do you want? The message is clear, let him play, let him grow, and enjoy the show he's giving us. Will Carlos Alcaraz play the 2025 Mutua Madrid Open? That's the big question millions of tennis fans are asking, after the Mercian suffered physical discomfort during the final of the Barcelona Open against Holger Rune. Although he lost, the biggest concern wasn't the defeat, but that gesture towards his right adductor that set off all the alarms. But now, Carlitos himself has spoken, and he brings some reassurance. In this video we'll tell you everything Alcaraz said at the Laureus Awards, how his body is doing, what to expect from upcoming medical tests, and what his schedule would look like if he does play in Madrid. We'll also analyze how his drop to number 3 in the ATP rankings could change the landscape on the tour. Ready? Let's get into it. Carlos Alcaraz arrived in Barcelona with an impressive streak at the Godó and fresh off winning Monte Carlo. But the demand of 10 matches in just 12 days began to take its toll. In the middle of the final against Rune, the Mercian called for medical attention due to discomfort in his right adductor. He finished the match visibly uncomfortable. And concern spread throughout his camp. However, to everyone's relief, Carlitos has not lost his optimism. In his statements to Spanish television from the Laureus Awards, where Rafael Nadal was also honored, he made it clear that he's confident he'll be able to play in Madrid. The truth is I'm fine. Nothing out of the ordinary, he said, explaining that it's the natural result of intense weeks and little recovery time. The body gives you little warnings, he said, before confirming he'll undergo medical tests to clear up any doubts. Meanwhile, the Mutua Madrid Open organizers have already prepared their match schedule, including Alcaraz's debut. If he's able to compete, his first match would be this Saturday, against the winner of the match between Bergs and Nishioka. If he keeps advancing, he'd play the third round on Monday, the round of 16 on Tuesday, and the quarterfinals on Thursday. A demanding schedule, which he may share, if all goes according to plan, with Novak Djokovic, his potential semifinal opponent. But not all the news has been good for Carlitos. This weekend also confirmed his drop to third place in the ATP rankings. Alexander Zverev, after a great week in Germany, has once again overtaken the Mercian, snatching the number 2 spot. Meanwhile, Jannik Sinner remains on top, though his doping suspension has kept him off the courts. In other ranking changes, Casper Ruud dropped 5 places and is now ranked 15th in the world. Stefanos Tsitsipas, for his part, is now ranked 18th. 2 important names on the tour who've lost ground, while Alcaraz and Zverev try to hold strong at the top. Carlos Alcaraz is at a point where every step he takes is scrutinized. His results, his statements, even his health, make headlines. And although the injury is worrying, his positive attitude and desire to play in Madrid are clear signs that he won't give up easily. Madrid awaits him. His people await him. And the tennis world is eager to see him once again displaying his magic on clay. But as he himself has said, the first thing is to listen to the body. And make the right decision. Who's on top of the tennis world now? After a dramatic week at the Barcelona Open and another twist in the race for number 1, the ATP rankings have seen notable changes. Carlos Alcaraz, who entered the tournament aiming to close the gap with Jannik Sinner, ended up surrendering his second spot. Alexander Zverev climbs, Holger Rune breaks into the top 10, and the fight for tennis supremacy is tighter than ever. In this video we'll explain the current rankings after the action in Barcelona, why Alcaraz fell to number 3, and how Rune has once again become a real threat. We'll also break down what could happen in Madrid, where everything is still up for grabs. Carlos Alcaraz arrived at the Barcelona Open with a double mission: to defend his title and keep chipping away at Jannik Sinner's lead, who remained sidelined due to suspension. Things were looking good. He had just won Monte Carlo and led the ATP race with 2,740 points. And although he arrived physically strained, his level was still high. But in the final, a familiar foe appeared, Holger Rune. The Dane not only stopped the Mercian on court, but also outmatched him mentally, denying him a Barcelona three-peat. And while Carlitos earned 320 points by reaching the final, it wasn't enough to maintain his position as world number 2. Meanwhile, Alexander Zverev got the job done in Munich, winning the title on his 28th birthday. That victory gave him the necessary boost to climb to second in the rankings, edging out Alcaraz by just 5 points. Yes, a razor-thin margin that could easily change again. With these results, the world rankings now look like this: Jannik Sinner remains number 1, untouchable for now despite his absence. Zverev returns to second, and Carlos Alcaraz drops to third. A minor fall, yes, but one that shows how tight the top of the sport has become. And Holger Rune is celebrating too. The Dane not only lifted the trophy in Barcelona, but also jumped from 13th to 9th in the world, returning to the top 10 for the first time in a year. With his aggressive tennis, renewed mindset, and a clear strategy, like the one he used to mimic Djokovic against Alcaraz, Rune is once again on the radar of favorites for Madrid and Rome. Moreover, Alcaraz still leads the ATP race 2025 with 2,740 points. He's followed by Zverev with 2,175 and Sinner with just over 2,000. So, for now, Carlitos remains the best player of the year. Even if the world rankings suggest otherwise. The Barcelona Open delivered big matches, intense emotions, and a shaken-up world ranking, driven by 3 key players: Alcaraz, Zverev, and Rune. And with the Mutua Madrid Open just around the corner, the tension is rising. Carlitos will try to reclaim the number 2 spot, or even dream of number 1, but first, he needs to recover physically. Meanwhile, Rune wants to extend his streak and Zverev is out to prove he's ready to dominate. And Sinner? Waiting in the wings, ready to return. Tennis is more alive than ever. Alcaraz revealed in a press conference that he received a very special message. He wrote to encourage me, saying he hopes it's nothing serious and that I can be 100% in Madrid. Who was it? None other than Rafael Nadal, the undisputed king of clay and one of Spain's greatest sports icons. This gesture from Nadal is more than just a formality. The Monaco native has always had a close, respectful relationship with Alcaraz. They've shared the court 3 times, with 2 victories for Rafa and 1 for Carlitos, but beyond competition, what unites them is mutual admiration. Rafa has stated many times that he sees a brilliant future in Alcaraz, and his words now come as a balm in a difficult moment. Nadal's absence during this part of the season due to his partial retirement leaves an emotional void at clay events, especially in Madrid, where he was always an idol. But even from the sidelines, his voice still resonates. And the fact that his voice is now encouraging Alcaraz speaks volumes about the respect between them. Meanwhile, the Mutua Madrid Open is already underway. The main draw begins Wednesday, April 23rd, and Carlos Alcaraz, despite his discomfort, still holds out hope of competing. He will undergo medical tests in the coming days, but his intention is clear: he wants to play at home, He wants to do well, and he wants to honor that message from Rafa with a great performance at the Caja Mágica. Tennis is a sport of numbers, rankings, and titles. But also of gestures. Nadal's message to Carlos Alcaraz reminds us that legends never truly leave, they just change roles. From active champion to silent mentor, Nadal remains a part of Spanish tennis's present. And Alcaraz, with his talent, humility, and now his resilience, continues to prove why he's the natural heir. His body may ache, but with the support of figures like Rafa, his spirit is stronger than ever.